Hey everyone, welcome to Classic Cinema. For the movie industry, 1969 was a year of change. Towards the end of 1968, the old production code that ruled over Hollywood for 34 years was replaced with the new voluntary MPAA rating system that is still in place today. This system would revolutionize how movies were made from this point forward. What's unusual is that most of the films that came out in 1969 were written, organized, and shot with the old production code still in place. Due to the fact studios were losing revenue, they decided to take a chance on a new generation of hot young filmmakers to change their fortune. Directors like Scorsese, Lucas, Spielberg, and others rejuvenated Tinseltown, ushering in a new golden age in the coming decade of the 70s. In some ways, 1969 seems like a link between the past and the future of motion pictures. A few of the great films that year were Midnight Cowboy.
Let's go. Hey! I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
Easy Rider.
I got this here, Scissor Happy Beautify America thing going on around here. They're trying to make everybody look like Yul Brynner.
Army of Shadows. And Anne of the Thousand Days.
One word more and I'll strike you. One word more.
Without marriage, if you and I have sons, they will be bastards.
Today I'm going to introduce my 5 favorite films of 1969. So, let's get into it. Directed by Peter Collinson, my 5th favorite film of 1969 is a British comedy heist that has become a cult favorite. The Italian Job stars Michael Caine, Noel Coward, Benny Hill, Tony Beckley, and Maggie Bly. This movie was a commercial and critical success and also gives good insight into British culture at the time. Caine and Coward's performances were highly touted. It is ranked in the top 100 British films of all time and is considered a cult classic. The plot of The Italian Job centers around Michael Caine's character, Charlie Croker, a career criminal just released from prison. He recruits other criminals to go to Italy and steal $4 million in gold bullion. The script is very creative and ballsy, with a well-planned and flawlessly executed heist. The film has typical British humor, with comedian Benny Hill adding his talents as a computer expert. Honestly, I think he was underutilized and could have added so much more to this movie.
Look out the window, Professor.
Do what?
Look out the window at my car. Come on.
Car?
Hmm.
What car?
Down there.
The Italian Job has lots of 60s style, with a funky soundtrack composed by the fantastic Quincy Jones.
Now, what would you like?
Everything.
Caine's Croker is a slick, quick-witted, womanizing cad that smoothly flits between high society and low-level criminals. You can tell Caine is having loads of fun and really embodies the role. Coward plays Bridger, Croker's crime boss partner that runs his underworld empire from a prison cell with an unabashed obsession with the royal family. The Italian Job is probably most remembered for the Mini Cooper's chase scene that involves some spectacular stunt work throughout Turin, Italy. The Italian authorities refused to shut down the roads for filming, so the mafia stepped in and shut down whole sections of Turin. The traffic jams during the heist, along with the people's reactions, were very real. The Italian Job remains one of the best-loved British films that is loads of fun, flashy 60s style, and tremendous action sequences. Probably one of the best-known lines in British cinema is when one of Caine's gang members gets a little too eager practicing for the heist.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
The film's well-known cliffhanger ending is controversial and has probably caused many sleepless nights. Do they get the gold? Do they survive? We will never know. The 2003 American remake starring Mark Wahlberg, Charlize Theron, Edward Norton, and Donald Sutherland was fair, but didn't capture the same spirit as the original. The only thing they kept from the original was using the Mini Coopers. But the Italian Job is all in good fun and doesn't take itself too seriously. Just revel in the insanity.
Hang on a minute, lads. I've got a great idea.
A very controversial revisionist western at the time, my fourth favorite film is The Wild Bunch, directed by Sam Peckinpah, who also co-wrote the screenplay. To me, this is Peckinpah's masterpiece. The movie stars William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, Warren Oates, Ben Johnson, and Edmund O'Brien. In The Wild Bunch, Pike Bishop, Holden's character, is an aging outlaw that wants to do one last job before he retires. He gets his old gang back together, but finds out his last job is a setup organized by his former partner Deke Thornton, Ryan's character. Deke tracks him down in Mexico, leading to many gunfights and bullet-riddled bodies. The Wild Bunch, much like Hollywood in 1969, is about the end of an era. Holden and his men are worn out and world-weary, and they realize their time is at an end. It is 1913, and World War I is around the corner. These men are a dying breed. This bunch does have a strict criminal code, and God help you if you get in their way.
He's gonna get us all killed. I'm gonna get rid of him.
We're not getting rid of anybody. We're gonna stick together just like it used to be. When you side with a man, you stay with him, and if you can't do that, you're like some animal. You're finished. We're finished. All of us.
There are two great action set pieces by Peckinpah, the botched bank robbery at the beginning and the blaze of glory showdown at the end. The opening robbery montage changed the way future movies would be made. Peckinpah wanted the gunfights to be more realistic and ordered that each gun have its own sound effect. He also wanted to show the chaotic action of the gunfights by using different camera angles and speeds.
And they'll blow this town all to hell.
Peckinpah's goal was to take the violence to the extreme, make it ugly and brutal, and use it as a catharsis. He believed audiences would be repulsed by it and come to abhor violence. But old Sam was troubled because the film had the opposite effect. People loved it, and it really bothered him. Many actors were considered by Peckinpah for the Pike Bishop role, such as Charlton Heston, Lee Marvin, Gregory Peck, and Burt Lancaster. Marvin actually was scheduled, but left to do Paint Your Wagon. Henry Fonda, Glenn Ford, and Richard Harris were considered for Ryan's character Deke Thornton. One theme Peckinpah highlights in The Wild Bunch is man's violent nature from childhood. He demonstrates this at the beginning as Pike watches Mexican children in a border town poking a stick at a scorpion being destroyed by ants while laughing the entire time. Not to give anything away, but this theme will be shown again near the climax of the film. Peckinpah also shows how the inherent violence is being passed from the old generation to the new, but without their same code of honor. One thing you may ask yourself when watching The Wild Bunch is, why go through all this trouble for little to no payoff? The first robbery only nets the gang a bag of washers. After the train robbery, they blow all their take.
We shot our way out of that town for $1 worth of steel holes.
I think Peckinpah was trying to demonstrate the sheer meaninglessness of it all. When all is said and done, what did they really accomplish? With their history, there's really nothing else they can do, and they know their time is at an end. If you get a chance, watch the uncut 144-minute version. It fleshes out the story much better. Often imitated, but never duplicated, no one could ever quite capture the spirit and gusto of The Wild Bunch. When someone says, they don't make them like that anymore, they're not kidding. The Wild Bunch is a one-of-a-kind Western. Downhill Racer is my third favorite film of 1969. Directed by Michael Ritchie, this sports drama movie stars Robert Redford, Gene Hackman, and Dabney Coleman. In my opinion, it's one of my favorite sports movies of all time. What's amazing to me is that you don't feel like you're watching a sports movie while you're watching it. In Downhill Racer, Redford plays David Chapellet, a talented and arrogant skier who makes the American ski team and clashes with the team's coach, Eugene Clare, Hackman's character, due to his disruptive behavior and not being a team player. Chapellet's attitude creates a rivalry with teammate Johnny Creech, played by Jim McMullen, who is thought to be the top skier, causing them to push each other and themselves to make the Olympic Games. A smart screenplay by James Salter, along with exciting skiing sequences with two great actors, Redford and Hackman, make this film a thrilling and intense study of big-time sports. Even though this qualifies as a sports film, it's really a character study about what it takes to be the best and how high the cost of winning is. Redford's character is not sympathetic whatsoever, and it's not one of those sentimental sports films due to its documentary-like feel. I look at it this way. To be the best in the world at any sport, you pretty much have to neglect everything else to concentrate on that sport.
You never had any real education, did you? All you ever had was your skis. And that's not enough.
Redford's Chapellet is such a man, a supreme talent whose only joy in life is winning. Besides that, he is a shallow loner, boring, almost incapable of feeling love or any emotion. He knows he's the best and makes sure everyone knows it. Downhill Racer provides a good insight into the monotonous daily grind of a world-class athlete. Constant travel, hotel rooms, training, dealing with coaches and teammates, as well as fans. When Chapellet does have a romantic interlude with a girl who is sort of a ski groupie, he is so self-absorbed and uninteresting to her that she dumps him, and he doesn't have a clue why. The film was shot in such gorgeous locations as Switzerland, Austria, and France, as well as some areas of Colorado and Utah. One small side note, if you pay close attention, you can spot Sylvester Stallone as an extra in the restaurant scene. Downhill Racer is a unique sports film. You are a witness to the competition, but the movie isn't really about the competition. An interesting thing I thought about while watching this movie is that besides wanting to know if he will win, is that I also wanted to find out what happens if he does. One of the greatest westerns of our time with arguably the greatest western actor rides in at number 2 today. Directed by Henry Hathaway, True Grit stars John Wayne, Glenn Campbell, Kim Darby, Robert Duvall, Dennis Hopper, and Strother Martin. Wayne won an Oscar for his legendary performance as Marshal Rooster Cogburn. Glenn Campbell sings the title song, which was nominated for an Oscar.
As soon as you've won, your fight to get justice done someday.
Adapted from the novel by Charles Portis, True Grit tells the story of young Mattie Ross, Darby's character, who is seeking justice for the murderer of her father, Tom Chaney, played by Jeff Corey. She hires aging U.S. Marshal Rooster Cogburn, Wayne's character, known as a man of true grit, to hunt down Chaney in Indian Territory. They are joined by LaBeef, played by Campbell, a Texas Ranger on the trail of Chaney for the murder of a Texas senator. The three form an unlikely team as they seek to bring the outlaw to justice.
What are you doing?
Looking for sign.
You couldn't see it if you saw it.
If by some chance you've never seen a Western or a John Wayne movie, then True Grit is the one you should watch. Hathaway crafted a masterpiece, and in it he embodies everything that is John Wayne. It is a joy to watch and ranks up there with the greatest movies of all time. Wayne's Cogburn is old, fat, one-eyed, and hard drinking, but in that famous scene where he looks across the meadow at the outlaws, puts the reins in his teeth, a rifle in one hand, pistol in the other, and growls, "Feel your hand, you son of a bitch," and charges, you are filled with an uncontrollable giddiness unlike any other movie. Wayne has an undeniable screen presence, and Hathaway distills it down in True Grit.
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Hathaway does a masterful job of developing the three main characters to make them more interesting. Maddie proves herself capable with her feistiness and steely resolve. She is not a typical damsel in distress.
I'm here to take you back to Fort Smith and hang you.
And I think I will not go. Now, how do you like that?
Now, you mean to say that you won't go with me on your own free will?
You just got it the other way around. Now, you will follow me.
We find out about Cogburn's past, and during their journey, Maddie and Rooster bond to where he is almost her adopted father. Campbell is not really an actor, but Hathaway gets him through it without ruining the movie. Robert Duvall gives a lot of depth to what could have been a cartoon villain in less skilled hands. This is my favorite and most memorable performance by the Duke, his crowning jewel after 40 years of acting. The film has great dialogue with funny moments, sarcasm, spirit, and insults. Wayne's charisma just sucks you in. True Grit is a funny, action-packed, joyous revenge western.
No grit, Rooster Cogburn, not much.
Directed by George Roy Hill, my favorite film of 1969, as well as one of my all-time favorites, is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. This classic American buddy western, written by the uber-talented William Goldman, has been preserved in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. It is ranked as the 73rd greatest American film in AFI's 100 Greatest Movies. AFI also selected the film as the 7th greatest western of all time in their top 10 list. It was also the top-grossing film of 1969, earning over $100 million. It also won 4 Oscars at the Academy Awards. The magical casting of Paul Newman as Butch Cassidy and Robert Redford as Sundance was a thing of beauty. They are effortless together. Catherine Ross as Etta Place, Sundance's girlfriend, adds depth to the trio. Other cast members of note are Strother Martin, Henry Jones, and Jeff Corey. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid tells the story of real-life Old West outlaws Robert Leroy Parker, alias Butch Cassidy, and his partner in crime, Harry Longabaugh, alias the Sundance Kid, who robs trains with their hole-in-the-wall gang with sometimes hilarious results.
Well, that ought to do it.
Think you used enough dynamite there, Butch?
Eventually, the railroad baron gets fed up and hires a dream team posse of lawmen to track them down and kill them. Butch, Sundance, and Etta go on the lam to Bolivia and become successful bank robbers. Hill and Goldman decided to take a different direction with this film as opposed to other westerns. Instead of being serious, it's more lighthearted and jovial, and sometimes comedic, but retains the Old West sense of adventure. Butch Cassidy also has a little bit of everything: action, drama, romance, comedy, and adventure, as well as all the necessary ingredients of a typical western: horses, saloons, stagecoaches, shootouts, and beautiful vistas shot by Conrad Hall. Initially, Newman was cast to play Sundance, and Steve McQueen was set to play Butch. However, once Hill signed on to direct, he switched Newman to Butch, and McQueen dropped out. Hill tried to get Warren Beatty for Sundance, which failed, so he recruited a then-unknown Robert Redford for Sundance, who jumped at the chance. This film was the start of Redford's rise to stardom.
The thing to remember when
Don't tell me how to rob a bank. I know how to rob a bank.
Boy, a few dark clouds appear on your horizon, you just go all to pieces, don't you?
To make Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid a unique western, Hill made a few changes. For one, he toned down the violence. 2, he made Etta's character more prominent and complex. 3, he changed the score from something traditional to one more modern, bringing in composer Burt Bacharach, who penned the smash hit Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, sung by B.J. Thomas. But Hill only used music 3 times during the film.
Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun.
One of the main draws of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is the undeniable chemistry between Newman and Redford. Newman makes Butch a charming, easygoing bandit impossible not to like. Women want him, and men can relate to him. Even though Newman already had 4 Best Actor nominations, Redford was a virtual greenhorn, but he holds his own. They come across as Butch and Sundance like lifelong buddies, even down to their jabs and bickering. Due to the success of this film, it set the formula for future buddy movies over the next 30 years. It's been imitated many times, but no one has duplicated the magic of this unusual Western. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid captures the sign of the times, both in Hollywood and the Old West, in that it was time to leave behind the past and emerge into the modern age, one that Butch and Sundance didn't belong.